This episode of the Farm Traveler Podcast is brought to you by Midway USA. You might know them because they have everything you might need for shooting, hunting, and the great outdoors. And now they also offer over 30,000 fishing products across 118 brands. They've got meat grinders, the AR-15 parts, reloading equipment, hiking boots, turkey decoys, ammo of all shapes and sizes. And I have used them for ammo, and a bunch of my friends and family have used them too. And now, if you're into fishing, they have over 30,000 products, including brands like St. Croix, Humminbird, Millennium, and a whole bunch more. And thanks to the Waypoint Outdoor Collective, if you go to midwayusa.com, enter promo code WAYPOINT at checkout, you will get free shipping on your order. Again, that is promo code WAYPOINT. Thanks again for Midway USA for sponsoring this show.
Support for this podcast comes from Twilio. Right now, businesses all over the world are trying to reinvent how they connect with the world. Whether you're delivering packages, treating patients, or running a global customer support center, your customers need you to invent new ways to stay connected. Twilio is the platform that millions of developers trust to build seamless communications experiences with phone calls, text messages, video calls, and more. It's time to build. Visit Twilio.com to learn more. That's TWILIO.com.
Our farm, I'm not trying to brag or anything by no means, but it just puts a little more pressure, I guess. Like, it's been around for so long, and you don't want to be the generation that, fails.
Hello and welcome to the Farm Traveler Podcast. If you are listening to this episode on, the day it came out, which is today, September 30th, 2020, Happy International Podcast Day. How cool is that? So my dad sent me a little message that said, hey, tomorrow is National Podcast Day. And it also had on there a bunch of other dates in October that are national holidays. Like October 13th is National Transfer Money to Your Son Day. October 14th is National Kick Butt Day, as well as National Pet Obesity Day. So in case you have a very fat dog or cat, you can celebrate on October 14th. So today on the show, we have Derek Thom from Thom Farms in Michigan. So Derek is 19 years old. He's been working on his family farm for basically his whole life. And it's a fourth generation farm in Michigan that grows soybeans, wheat, corn, sugar beets, a whole bunch of other cash crops. And they also have some beef cattle. So Derek is going to tell us what life has been like growing up on the farm, what his goals are, and kind of what the pressures are of continuing a fourth generation farm. I mean, it's so neat to carry on a fourth generation farm, but you also have a lot of pressure that you don't want that to end. You want to carry on and, have it be a fifth and a sixth generation family farm. So we're also going to talk to him about their production methods and the difference between cash crops and cover crops, and really his thoughts on the farmer-consumer relationship and why he started an Instagram page, which is D_and_D_Thom, which is spelled THOM_farms, why he started that Instagram page to kind of showcase what they do. So this is a great episode. So we're getting so close to episode 100, which will happen sooner rather than later. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. It was great talking with Derek and learning all about what he does and why he does it. So hope you enjoy it, and be sure to check out Derek and D D Farms at the link in the description of this podcast and on the Instagram that we mentioned. And, it's podcast day if you're listening on September 30th. So go check out some awesome podcasts from all of our friends, like Ag State of Mind. Another friend of mine has a podcast called The Millennial Salesman. Pete Dola has that one. And probably my two favorite, The Art of Manliness and Mike Rose, The Way I Heard It. Thanks for listening. I'll stop stalling. Enjoy this episode with Derek. All right. Well, Derek, welcome to the Farm Traveler Podcast, man. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So as we were just saying, I think we've been scheduling this interview for about a month or two. So I'm glad our schedule's finally cleared up and we're able to, learn about you and D Thom Farms. So this is exciting.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you guys, you've got row crops, you've got a beef cattle operation going on. You're in Michigan, so give us a little bit about a background of you and the farm.
Okay, well, I am 19. I just graduated last year, and I started the Instagram page where you found me. I think this is the second year. Um, and yeah, we're in the thumb of Michigan. We grow sugar beets, wheat, red and white wheat, and then we grow field corn and soybeans. And then if that's doesn't keep us busy enough, we have beef cattle. We've got about I'd say about 120 beef cows, and that we have on a pasture. And then we also have beef steers. We've got mostly Holsteins, but we've also got just the colored cattle that we get out of our own cows. Um, yeah, we actually just put up a new barn just for the beef cattle, our steers. We just finished that. I think it was April. I think we got moved in there. We had some setbacks on that, but yeah, so I am the fourth generation. My brothers and I were the fourth generation of the farm. I asked my grandpa the other day, and he thought our farm was established about, he would guess 1925, that era.
Oh
Um,
wow, so just about 100 years old.
yeah, almost. He wasn't real sure. We don't really have any like dated records or anything, but he would have guessed around the 20s somewhere. Um, and it actually started out. Um, they we used to milk cows here, and then I'm they got out of that. I think my dad, he was around for that, but they got out of the dairy cows around the buyout in I think he said 83, when the markets went down and the government was buying out dairy farms. And yeah, so then we got back, we got some more. I think I always had cows, but we haven't had any dairy cattle since then. That was obviously way before my time, but yeah, a few years.
I mean, that's a pretty good stop. I mean, it sounds like you guys have a lot of row crops going on, a lot of cows. So you said that you grow both white and red varieties of wheat. Is that right? So what are the two main difference like of uses of white versus red wheat?
The white wheat in the field, it's not for use, but in the field, it's so sensitive um, than the red wheat is. I'm going to be honest, I'm not totally sure, but the white wheat is used, I believe, more for like bread products, and the red wheat, I think the
Gotcha.
red wheat
Okay.
is more like your crackers and stuff, because the flour that you get from the different breeds of wheat, it's different. It's not all the same kind of flour, because there's hard red wheat and soft white wheat. So there's red or soft and hard of each kind, and the soft wheat is a little more challenging, just because it's not quite as tough, I don't believe, as the hard, like the red wheat. So we grow more red wheat than white wheat. I think we only had, I want to say, 200 acres of white wheat and 400 of red wheat.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
I think I think the white wheat, I could be wrong, but I think it's worth more when you go to sell it.
And I'm sure that's good for you guys because I mean, farming's not like a get rich quick thing. So I mean, if it's more like lucrative for you guys, that's awesome.
Yeah. 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 So that's I'm going to be honest. That's about. I don't know a whole lot the differences between the red and white wheat, but that's if I think of something else, I'll let you know. But right now, that's
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, it seems like you're kind of, I mean, you're going to take over this fourth generation farm eventually, I imagine. So I'm sure that's one of those things you'll
yeah,
learn kind
yeah.
of
I'm
along the way.
I'm still learning all the time. I by no means me know. I mean, I know quite a bit, but there's not nearly. It comes with time
Oh, yeah,
and experience.
absolutely. Through all that experience, I'm sure you'll get a hang of it eventually. That's awesome. So it's a fourth generation farm. So I'm assuming that was your great granddad. Is that right?
Yes.
So I mean, how does that feel like you and your dad and you said your brother kind of carrying on that tradition of that fourth generation farm? Like, what's that like?
Um. It it means a lot. Like because there's so many farms around, not just in my area, but just all over the world, all over the country, that the markets crashed and they just couldn't keep going. Um. But our farm, I'm not trying to brag or anything by no means, but it just puts a little more pressure, I guess. Like it's been around for so long, and you don't want to be the generation that fails. But it means a lot because there's a lot of companies that don't even make it this far in history, like that don't stick around for this long.
Oh yeah, that's a
Um,
very good point. That's
not
true.
so it especially nowadays the markets are so volatile. They're just change so much every day, and everything's just so much more expensive, and it just gets harder and harder. It seems like but at the same time it gets easier and easier if if that makes sense. Um, just with the technology and the machines that we have nowadays, but there's a trade off. I mean, markets and equipment, machinery, everything
Yeah, no,
costs
I
so
mean,
much. But
that's really cool. And I mean, I know a couple of like first or second generation farms, but I don't have any close friends or anything that are part of like a fourth generation. And so, like my granddad he started a catfish farm operation. And so it's kind of his baby. Like my dad and I aren't taking it over. So, I mean, maybe one day we can keep it going. But I mean, that's cool that you've been able to keep that going for like four generations that y'all have kept it going through. I mean, almost 100 years. I mean, that's really neat.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you're in the thumb of Michigan. I have a couple of friends from Michigan, and every time somebody asks them where they're from, they always put up their hand and they're like, okay, this is Michigan, and here's where we're at. So that's pretty cool. You're in the thumb. So is that close to Detroit a little bit?
Um, we're about 2 hours away, I'd say. So not real close, but whenever you're talking to someone from that's not local, you just keep you like Detroit. It's a pretty. It seems like everyone has heard of Detroit. So so you always say, "Oh, we're 2 hours away from Detroit" or
Kind
something
of
like
kind of gives
that.
them a good radius of where you guys might be. That makes sense. So what all is
Yeah.
Michigan agriculture like? I mean, I know that there's a lot of row crops. I know you guys are kind of close to Iowa and Indiana. There's a lot of pig farms operation up there. So do you know what kind of Michigan agriculture is like?
Um, it's there's a very wide variety of different things that we grow in Michigan. Um, I think the last I knew, we were the state was a second leading producer in milk. So there's a lot of dairy around, and but then you get up north a couple hours and they grow a lot of cherries and apples. There's a lot of wineries up that way. They grow hops. That's for beer. And yeah, there's we grow pumpkins and squash and all different kinds of vegetables. But off the top of my head, I would probably say the crop we grow the most in Michigan, I would say probably like corn or soybeans. Just, I'm just guessing. I was when you think of, I don't know, when you think of Michigan, I don't really think of, even I don't, of what the variety of crops that we grow in Michigan are. Um, like around here, it's just corn and soybeans, some sugar beets, wheat. But then you get just farther away, and they grow apples and everything else. And I don't know what you think, what your initial impressions are of like what we grow here, but even I sometimes forget that we grow such a variety of stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm down here in Florida and we grow a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of people think of, we just grow oranges, but we've got like a lot of strawberries, blueberries. I think we're seventh or eighth in the country with beef
Really?
cattle. And so, yeah. And so that's good that you guys the Michigan is like super diverse in terms of agriculture. So, you got two parts of Michigan. You got the hand of Michigan. What do you guys call the top part? I think I've heard some people call it the hat or something. What do y'all call that? Like the part that's, I guess, attached to
Yeah,
Minnesota.
we call it the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. That's the technical
Okay.
term, but we always just call it the UP, Upper Peninsula.
The the UP. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
The UP. So yeah, I mean, I found you guys over on Instagram, and it's D underscore and underscore D underscore Thom THOM underscore farms. And you've got a lot of really good stuff on here, kind of showing what you guys do on a daily basis. I mean, is there what kind of inspired you to start that? I mean, did you see a lot of people going to social media, or did you just kind of want to document what you guys do on a daily basis?
Um, I always watch the Millennial Farmer. I'm sure you've heard of him in
Oh
Minnesota.
yeah, yeah, he's a big time one. Yeah, I think he's got like 500,000 followers on YouTube, and he's got a couple 100,000 on
Yeah,
Instagram. So he's big. Yeah.
yeah. It's just crazy how fast how fast information gets around, and that's kind of what I was going for. Not trying to be like anybody, not millennial farmer or nothing, but I think he, like, them guys kind of inspired me, just to show what we do here. Um, just try to teach people a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of followers, obviously, but it's fun for me, just to document what we do, and because what we do here is totally different than other parts of the country. And yeah, I was always interested just to get on like Instagram or YouTube and just look at the different farms around that I follow and just see what they're up to, just on a daily basis. And I just always think it's interesting. So I'd say that's kind of what inspired me. Just because you can get on and see what everyone is up to, and the information just spreads so fast nowadays on there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and there's like so much stuff you're showing off, like some of the equipment, the crops you guys are doing. Like right now, you guys are in soybean season. Is that correct?
Yeah, we only did one semi load tonight. We just opened up field, but yeah, there's neighbors around getting ramped up for soybeans.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you said that's primarily one of your main cash crops. So, whenever you guys are done with the soybeans, what do you plant afterwards? Do you do like a cover crop, or do you just plant something else like a wheat or a corn?
So yeah, we plant a lot of, not all the wheat, or not all the soybeans that we take off. We're gonna put wheat behind, but a lot of times, like I said on Instagram tonight, we're gonna drill some wheat in tomorrow just to get everything dialed in. But yeah, a lot of times we plant wheat behind the soybeans, but we don't plant any cover crops really. We plant clover, but that's about the only cover crop that we do.
Gotcha. Any four leaf clovers and all of that, or is that a different clover?
Oh, I'm sure there's one in there somewhere.
That's awesome. So, I'm always amazed. I mean, so my grandpa had a tractor like on his catfish farm, but never like a huge tractor or anything. So we didn't have to cut hay or weed or anything. But I'm always amazed at how big and how expensive all these combines and these big old or John Deere tractors and everything like that is. I mean, and I'm sure you probably grew up on those tractors. So driving something like a huge combine is probably like
Yeah,
second nature, right?
yeah.
Do y'all have any of those? Are any of them like auto driving where you can kind of just like point them in the right direction and they'll go, and you maybe have to steer it every now and then, or are they like the quote unquote old school where you've got to drive it by hand?
No, just about all of our tractors, they're what you call auto steer ready or green star ready. So you can enable them. We just have a globe, we call it. That's a GPS receiver you put on the cab, and then a screen goes inside the cab. But pretty much all of our equipment, for the most part, we can put auto steer in. So like the combines, both of our combines, we put auto steer in, and yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate. I know a lot of people don't have that luxury, just because it is expensive, but
Oh yeah,
just
super
for the
expensive. Yeah.
software, just not even the counting the machinery, but just because they're small enough, they don't really need it. And um, I know I'm really lucky to have that luxury and that opportunity to be able to use that kind of technology.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Have you seen? Maybe you've seen this. I think Case IH came out with it like a year or two ago, but they're these driverless tractors, and they look like a normal huge tractor without the seat and the steering wheel and everything. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen Case and New Holland. I think both have them, but
They
yeah,
look trippy.
yeah, yeah,
So okay. So Case IH is red. New Holland is blue, correct? Because I know that all these big time ag companies are very particular on color, right?
yeah. They're blue, and tractors are blue for New Holland, and then their combines and stuff are yellow.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's it like working with the cattle? So is that kind of who do you spend kind of your time 50-50 with the row crops and the cattle, or how exactly do you divide that time to where you're working on the crops, but you're also taking care of the cows and making sure they're getting some much needed attention?
Um, I would say maybe not quite 50-50. Um, for the most part, the cattle, for the most part, you just feed them. I mean, there's obviously more to it, but you just like on a daily basis, you feed them in the morning, feed them at night, and then once in a while you'll have to work them and get them in the alley and shoot and stuff. But I'd say more of our time is spent with the crops and the tractors and just fixing stuff mostly. But for the most part, the cattle, you put them in the barn and you have to watch them and check on them. But for the most part, you just have to feed them. So I'd say we're more towards the a little more of our time is spent with the crops and stuff.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure equipment's always breaking, or you're having to fix something, or just something pops up. So I can imagine that.
Yeah, yeah.
So are these cow? Is it like a feedlot, or do you just kind of raise them from calves, or how does that whole process work for you?
Okay, so the we've got the beef cows, and then we take their calves and we raise them up from birth, and then we'll raise them up till they're 1,500 pounds or so, and then we'll sell them. But we have most all of our cattle, we raise them up from baby calves. Our Holsteins, we get like through our stockyards or right direct off of a big dairy farm or something, and then we raise them up from milk calves, a milk replacer. We feed them, and then about I think it's about just over a year. So we have them, yeah, right from baby calves, and then we put them in the barns, and yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Do you have any favorite cows or no? Because I want to get cows one day. I have to convince my wife. We don't have enough land. We have like a couple, I don't know, square yards of a yard, so that's not nearly enough. But I want a cow one day. So do you have any favorites or anything? Some that you always pay attention to a little bit more than others?
Um, n- Yeah, there's some out there, but um, yeah, the once you'll get one that you kind of make a pet or something, but most of them they're just out in the pasture, just another cow for the most part.
Yeah, I know. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, um, it's weird. It's a weird time. You probably heard this term. We're in the world of fake news. Like, there's just so much fake information out there. Do you feel that there's like a lot of fake information out there when it comes to farming? Because anytime I see like articles and stuff from like bloggers and it's about how farming works and they're completely wrong or there's just like completely wrong information. So, how do you feel? Do you feel like there's a lot of fake news out there when it comes to farming and agriculture?
Yeah, I feel in my experience, there's a ton of fake news. Just that, like, GMOs, for example, that where the farmers are trying to kill people. Um, not with those exact words, but that
Yeah, yeah.
that that the GMOs are bad for you. Like there's some kind of plant from outer space or something. But in reality, the GMOs are just they're just making it easier for farmers to grow crop. Um, like the GMOs are only helping us so that we can grow more food for such a growing population. And yeah, a lot of times um, they'll try to stretch the truth or something. Not necessarily the whole thing, the whole story is a lie, but a lot of times I feel like they're trying to stretch the truth and make farmers the suspect, like we're the bad guys. But um, yeah, just like anything else, I feel like there's just so much fake news, and they're trying to stretch the truth, like I said, about what we do. And reality, we're not trying to hurt the environment or anything like a lot of articles say and stuff. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think there's a ton of fake news going around about agriculture, especially right now, I feel.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And I love that GMO one. That's a great example. I mean, people that are removed from farming, they're worried, which it kind of makes sense because I mean, this stuff is developed in a lab, but they just automatically think it's dangerous and they don't realize that it has to go through I mean, all these hoops and checks to make sure it's safe. Like the Environmental Protection Agency checks them, the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, like they're all checked and regulated to make sure that they're healthy. And a lot of those people don't research that. So that's a very good point. I'm always trying to drive home the idea that GMOs are completely safe for us to eat. So I totally feel your pain on that one. That's a good quote unquote fake news one for sure. So this season, I don't know if you've listened to any of our episodes, but we're trying to figure out, well, not really figure out, but we're just kind of going over kind of the key differences between organic production and conventional. So are you guys more, do y'all kind of focus on conventional using like, synthetic pesticides and fertilizers and stuff like that? Or are y'all organic?
We're all conventional. Um, I don't think we've ever had any experience with organic on our farm. As far as I know, we've been all 100% conventional. There are some guys around here that are doing a little organic here and there, but to my knowledge, there's nobody like row crop guys that are 100% organic or anything. What I've heard, they'll do one field or something or a certain amount of acres of organic, but yeah, most of our area is all conventional.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know that before this season, but I've learned that a lot of like big time farmers, kind of like you guys that have a lot of acreage, they'll mostly grow conventional, but then they'll grow a little bit, like a couple acres of organic. And then kind of the smaller farms, like the smaller mom and pop farms with not nearly as much acreage, they might kind of do the same thing. So that's very, very interesting. So, all right, you're a fourth generation farmer. Maybe one day you take over this farm. What would be kind of your future goals for it? Do you want to continue to grow? Do you want to get some more land or kind of grow the cattle you have there? So, what would be your goal for the future of Tom Farms?
Um,
No
um,
pressure, no pressure there.
Yeah, no pressure. Yeah, I feel like I'd like to grow slowly because I feel in today's day and age you have to keep growing. Otherwise, eventually one day you're gonna get pushed out. Um, and that's nobody's fault or anything, but I feel like you just have to keep growing a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit every time you can, maybe. Um, because one day you might look around and everybody's gonna be twice the size of you or something, and twice the amount of acres, I mean. And yeah, on the cattle side, um, expand maybe some, because that kind of diversifies your income, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Like right now, we're split up pretty good. Um, Whereas if the crops were to crash for some reason, we'd still have the cattle income to keep us afloat, I would think. So I'd like to, if you're gonna go one, like the crops get more acres, I think a few years down the road, when you get the opportunity and the means and resources, I think it'd be smart to put on some more cattle. Maybe not a ton, but just enough to kind of equal it out, keep a nice balance between the both.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Diversify. That's smart. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Diversifying, and then as my dad's really big in the stock market, and so he's always trying to tell me diversify, diversify, diversify. Because if one fails, you've got like 10 other backups or something like that. So I mean, the same thing applies for you guys. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Derek, this has been awesome, man. Learning about D Thom Farms, all the stuff you guys are doing. I think it's awesome that you guys are a fourth generation farm. I hope y'all continue to grow and continue to carry on that family legacy. So I will be sure to tag everything. Like I'll tag you guys' a social media account. Your Instagram is super cool. Keep up all that good work and showcasing what's going on. And we'll have to get in touch with you in a few months, see how things are going, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Derek, well, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, do you want the good news or the bad news first? I know, always lead with the bad news. Okay, the bad news is the episode of this podcast that you love, it's over. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's over. Don't you hate that feeling when you finish the latest episode of your favorite podcast and then you don't know what to listen to? Well, I got a show that you should check out. It's called Homesteady, and it's hosted by me, Aust. I live on a homestead with my family, and we live off the land. We grow our own food in our gardens.
We're going cherry picking today. Grab your bucket, get in the car.
We raise livestock for meat and milk.
This week on Homesteady, the pigs are arriving.
We hunt, we fish.
I was almost done hunting. I was just sitting there thinking about climbing down. I looked, twig snapped, took a peek. Oh man, big buck, big buck. Got the camera ready.
Wow! Oh, bud! That's the biggest trout we ever got.
If you want to lead a life that's a little bit more self-sufficient, a little bit more sustainable, check out the Homesteady podcast. You'll hear our stories and hopefully be inspired to start some of your own. Homesteady releases a podcast every single week for you to enjoy an adventure in the outdoors. And this show is just one of the fantastic shows that make up the Waypoint Outdoor Collective, the podcast network for outdoorsmen. Click the link in the description below to go to Waypoint Outdoor Collective, download Homesteady, and check out some of the other fantastic podcasts while you're waiting for the latest episode of your favorite one that just finished.